So welcome to Movie Ruiners. It's a podcast about movies with brothers Nick and Reed Canada. This week, our guest, he released out his own stand-up special. I got this. It's up to 6.7 million views on YouTube.
Oh, shit, is it?
Yeah, just saw that
That's
the other
great.
day. You're up on the roof. Special's over 1 million now.
Nice.
So, Sam Morril, how's Nashville, man?
Dude, you know, I got to be honest. I thought I'd be killing a little harder at these shows. I was like, the club is beautiful and great, but like the late show last night, were you that one or the early one?
We came to the 7 o'clock show.
They were a little tight on that one.
Yeah, even like DeVito kept like kind of being like, this is such a weird crowd.
Yeah, it was, because I know there's a legendary club, and I was obviously, and I am happy to be here, but late show was real hot, and the early show I was kind of like, man, this is fucking tight. Is this like only a music town or something? I don't know. You know, I've never been here. They were just like, it's funny. I was talking to people and they were like, were they too drunk? I'm like, no, I can deal with too drunk because that's energy that I can kind of mold and make into something. But when it's just kind of timid, you're like, what do I do with this? So
nice. Yeah, it was a weird group. I remember you doing you were doing crowd work and there was that young guy. And you were trying to, like, I don't know, talk to him. He's, like, going to be a lawyer. And you're like, all right, I'm just going to leave this guy alone. He didn't give you much either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really go to the crowd. Like, you know, if I'm doing a short set, I never really do crowd work. But if I'm headlining, I'll break it up with a little just because I think the rhythm just becomes kind of predictable. And you need to break it up and make it, you know, interactive at some point.
Yeah, I told Nick I thought that was probably a Attell influence on you, too, just as much as he does crowd work. And I thought Anthony DeVito kind of looks a lot like Attell also.
Does he?
I thought so. I don't know.
I think he's just small and hairy. I don't think he is. But I think it's like anyone who does like jokes has to do it. It's like Jeselnik does it. Dangerfield would do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think anyone who does that type of style, you have to do a little bit of that just to
Absolutely.
make it so the rhythm isn't too the same for the entire show.
So when our guests come on, we always give them gifts. And the first gift, I heard you talking about this with Mark, and you called these the OG.
Oh, my God. You got the vanilla, too. This is the best flavor.
Oh, yeah. I happen to have them. I had found this, so I guess gave Sam some Dunkaroos, old school. I happen to have a box of it. You said it. I was like, if we do this podcast, I'm totally giving him some Dunkaroos.
Wow. These are probably my favorite childhood treat. Like, I mean, as far as processed garbage, this is at the top of the list. I mean, Gushers were good. I liked fruit roll-ups, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean, who could not love Fruit by the Foot? You go just because you feel like you're getting so much extra. That was the Jew in me. I was like, I'm getting like extra, you know, because people are like,
it's such a good bargain.
Well, fruit roll-ups taste better, but the Fruit by the Foot, you're getting more land, so to speak. You know, so I was into the Fruit by the Foot. But Dunkaroos with the frosting, my family would never have this shit in the apartment.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you this one, too.
Oh, wow.
And then read.
What's this?
So this, I think, that'll help.
Oh, my God, the Tulane Green Wave.
So if I said the
It's a
name
great
Lucy's
glass.
Retired Surfer Bar, would that mean anything to you?
I got stories about that place. So I started stand-up probably right before I went to Tulane, and yeah, Lucy's was the only show in town because Katrina just hit in 2005, I think it was, and so weird, man. Like, it was so weird to be in New Orleans, and it was the one mic. Like, there was a club, I think, before Katrina in New Orleans, but it got wiped out. So it was so weird to go from New York where there's, like, literally comedy. You can't go to, like, a corner without someone harassing you to come to a show. And then you go to New Orleans, and you're like, there's not, like, Katrina was so fucking. By the way, I was in New York for 9/11 and Katrina for New Orleans for Katrina.
wow.
So I'm like, there might be some shit following
He was also
me.
on the BP oil rig.
This green room's just gonna light on fire. I'm like, sorry, guys. No, it was crazy, man. That bar was. I had so many weird experiences in that bar. I remember a guy just like that open mic. It was like you get some cool guys, you get some fucking lunatics in there. I remember there was a guy who was like, "Hey man, I like that joke you told. Can I have it?" And I was just like, "What? No." And he was like, "Well, I mean, I'm like," it was like a racial joke, and he's like, "Well, I'm black, so it'll be funnier if I say." I'm like, "Well, that's not how comedy works. I wrote the joke. I didn't like." I'm like, it was. By the way, it's written through the lens of a white guy. So I think, and he was just like, "Yeah, you're a dick, man." I was like, "What?" So yeah, I also had this guy, Joe Schwartz. The guy's an agent at UTA now, but he was a senior when I was a freshman. At Tulane, he would just drive me to open mics, which was pretty cool. And that was the one. That was the only one.
Didn't you book like Bill Burr?
Yeah. Isn't that weird? No, here's what happened. I did like a couple bringer shows when I was in New York City. So I had a tape of me at like Caroline's performing for like 14 of my friends. So I look like I'm doing all right, but I sucked. And I was like, I have this tape. I saw the people at Tulane who booked the talent. I was like, I got this tape. That's how fucking long ago. I think it was an actual VHS, by the way. Not like a link. I was like, I got this VHS tape that I had to pay like $20 for. And
DVDs were around too, right?
They were around, but like it might have been a deep. I know Comic Strip did VHSs till like 10 years ago or something. The Comic Strip and it was like kind of nice because you would just buy a VHS tape, put it in the machine, and you'd get it. So at the time, you're like, this is great. I can just videotape my sets. But yeah, maybe it was I don't know. But anyway, they saw it, and there was like these people in charge of the booking. They're like, all right, you've passed our test. You can open for Dat Fan. I don't know if you guys remember him. He won Last Comic Stand, the first one.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember.
It was interesting. It was like 500 Asian kids in a theater. And I opened, and I did really well. I mean, I think they were like kind of rooting for me because they're like, "Oh, he's one of us. He's a kid, student, not Asian." But they were like, "He's one of us," and it was cool. It was, And then afterwards, I remember I had pink eye, and I remember I wasn't thinking, so I just shook that fan's hand. He's like, "Wait a second, you have pink eye?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "You fuck! Oh fuck!" He just like lost it. I was like, "I'm sorry, shit." And then, but they liked me, and they were like, "You did so well. Maybe you can like help us choose who to book." So that was crazy. They were like, "You can just choose who to book." And I remember I was like, "How about Bill Burr?" This is like 2005 or something. I already knew he was great. Yeah. Maybe it was like 2000. At this point, it might maybe been like 2006.
Yeah, he'd done the Chappelle show.
Sure.
At that point in time.
I think he had an HBO special already.
Okay.
Like I knew him. Could have been 2007. I don't know, 2006 or 7, and. He was so nice. I still remember that. Like, he was such a nice dude. He had hair, He had hair back then, and it's crazy
was
how
he going
time
by
works.
Billy still?
I don't think he went by Billy but he did. I saw him at Comic Strip
yeah.
when he was going by Billy, which is funny. Yeah, he's
was,
so not a Billy.
I know.
That's like me going by Sammy. You'd be like, what?
Was Norman already in New York when the time you were doing comedy in New Orleans? I think it's interesting. Y'all are so kind of close, and now we're doing a podcast.
I know, isn't that weird? Well, Mark might have not even been doing stand-up yet at that point.
Okay.
I think Sean Patton, who was ahead of us.
Go ahead and give
what's this?
This next one.
Oh, Colbert Report.
This is like a best of DVDs. I know DVDs are kind of out of style, but
yeah, no,
weren't you a PA on there?
I was an intern, yeah.
Or an intern, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, just to finish the thought about Mark, he was not there yet. Maybe he might have started like right after or something. So we were like basically the same time. But then Sean Patton had just moved. He was like the guy in New Orleans. So Sean's a great comic. And then Mark and we met at like some open mic in Long Island City a couple years later. So yeah, Colbert, I was a PA on this. This is a fucking brilliant show.
And that was wasn't that your first spot on a late night show to do?
No, my first spot was
like
Conan.
That.
I was the as far as when he had a late night show, I don't think they really love stand up at that show. I don't think he really is into it as far as maybe I'm wrong, but that was the vibe I always got.
Hey, Colbert.
Yeah, it always felt like it always felt like at this point, he's not even around for the stand-up, which I don't think they do that for bands. I think he chills for the bands.
Well, doesn't everyone perform, like, all at once?
Like a rotating belt, like we're fucking, in a slaughterhouse and we're the cow. Yeah, it's weird. It's just like 6 comics on a lineup, and there's an audience, and he's not there, and they edit him in later, which I'm kind of like, that's kind of shitty, because it's a big moment for a lot of these comics. He was there when I did it. I was the 3rd comic on Colbert. I was like the first non-famous comedian. It was Seinfeld, then Maria Bamford,
Oh, wow.
And I think Seinfeld, it's like he's fine with because they're both so famous that they're like, yeah, we're famous, we can hang out. And then Maria Bamford he likes because she's a little more like different. And I'm kind of just a traditional like joke comic, and I don't think like comics like me or his cup of tea particularly. But he was very nice, and he was like, I think he introed me as this guy was an intern of mine apparently, which is hilarious because it's like it sounds hilarious, but it also they had so many interns on that show. He didn't fucking know. I got on camera once because he broke his wrist. He tripped getting something on the show and broke his wrist, and he had a whole thing. It was a really funny segment where he was like, I don't want any extra attention just because I broke my wrist, and it was just cued me, all the interns come out with flowers. He's like, stop it, this is too much. But that was really one of the most brilliant characters, I thought.
Oh, I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
I was like in middle school when I was coming out. I don't think I understood all the satire of it. I just knew he was hysterical.
Jeez, you are Southern satire. I've never heard that. That fucking
Satire.
Southern drawl. Holy shit.
So, I was gonna get you a bottle.
Oh my God, dude! Jesus Christ! This is too much.
So this is Basil Hayden's.
Oh,
This
I know
one
what it
of
is.
My
That's
favorite.
yeah, that's
like
good.
Summer whiskeys.
Yeah, it's really.
And
good
y'all have
stuff.
that podcast. We might be drunk, and I know you're a whiskey guy, but y'all did High West.
Yeah, you don't like that?
Well, so I do. I like the rye. Y'all did the campfire, and
Yeah.
it's so smoky.
Yeah.
Like that, I can't really move past how smoky it was. And so I was gonna bring you the rye, and I was like, some people don't really like rye. It's like a double rye that they do that I like. But that I was like, well, I'll just give them another bottle that they haven't done yet.
Jesus, yeah, this is good. This is quality rye, man. Yeah, the High West I got as a gift at a show in Utah, and I was like, it's nice to go to a place and get a local thing. So yeah, Salt Lake is such a solid city, man.
Well, so it's from Park City, High West is.
Yeah.
And it's I went there one time. I was in town and went there, and it's the coolest place. Like if you're ever near there, you need to go check it out.
I was just there and I didn't. I gotta be better. But here's the problem on the road. I'm just so burnt out on the road, so I always want to do shit. And then we were supposed to go to East Nashville today, and then Anthony, who I'm with, he's like, I'm here, and I'm like, you do your thing. I'll meet you for a lunch later. So we end up getting lunch, but it's like the shows I don't sleep well on the road. I'm always run down. I'm always kind of burnt out. So that's why I was non-committal about even doing this. I might not have the energy to do this, and I end up having, this is the only thing. Some comics, they have a rider. They have stuff that must be in the green room. This is the only shit I have. It's
Starbucks.
I have the most boring rider. No, it doesn't have to be Starbucks. I just need iced coffee in the green room. Coffee, because some comedy clubs they give you the coffee, and it's like the worst shit. I drink gas station coffee. I don't know where they're finding this shit. You go to clubs and you're like, this is the worst shit. They just don't make it. So this and nuts are the only thing in my fucking rider. It's the most boring thing, but I'm like, finally I'm playing clubs with actual food, but for years it'd be like, we only serve wings and pizza, and you're like, cool, I have to do 2 hours of comedy on stage tonight. I don't really want to have to feel like I have to shit myself for the entire duration
the next 4
of
days.
the shows. Yeah. So, and you're traveling. You already got traveler's diarrhea, so
Oh, I get that.
Yeah.
Another gift.
Oh my
I
God,
gotcha.
this is like Hanukkah.
I figured this is a little mascot.
Oh
for,
my God, dude, this is maybe my favorite one yet.
I
wow.
I thought that'd be a perfect mascot for We Might Be
Do you
Drunk.
know that he's my favorite character?
I didn't. I just
Oh,
thought he
wow.
kind of embodied. We Might Be Drunk.
We're
like
bringing
a
this back
bartender.
already for sure. Yeah, wow, holy shit.
I did notice y'all's hair. Y'all have very similar hair.
We do, and
Mo.
And he's got the eyebrow, the ridge there too. Yeah, Mo is my favorite Simpsons character for sure. He's just there for jokes. Everyone else serves a purpose. Marge is the one to be the voice of reason, you guys. But Mo is just there to be a piece of shit. Who makes weird, uncomfortable jokes and runs illegal gambling and is a shady,
Just
sad
an enabler
loser.
for Homer. Just at all times.
But he's just a loser. He's just a sad. He's the perfect character for a cartoon, because if that was a real person in a sitcom, it'd be maybe too sad. But in the cartoon world, it's perfect,
That's great. Oh, what also made me think about that too is they call him Kid Mo in one episode. I know you and Mackie used to fight over who's the kid.
Dude, I know. Fuck.
Did that come from the Cincinnati Kid? Did one of y'all watch that?
Just like the Old West, I think. I think it's just like any like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or like any. There's always the guy. The young gunslinger is always called the Kid. Mm-hmm. So you just thought it was a cool title to vow for, and we'd fight each other on it. And yeah, man. Then of course, like there was like Fighter and the Kid, the podcast, which we didn't know about. So people were like, Brian Callen's the Kid, and we're like, shit, we don't. Can we do like an East Coast, West Coast kid thing?
Y'all are biggie. Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? It was a pretty dumb joke, but yeah, people got caught up in that, you know?
Yeah, I remember all the time people calling in and Sam's the Kid, Joe's the Kid.
We used to get that a lot, man. That was a fun pod to do.
Yeah, he should have been called Keeping Sam.
I know. Well, it's hard to do a podcast with one person, let alone three. Sometimes
comics.
4. You know, we're all so busy, so it's tough for sure.
I mean, just like one of my buddies that performs here is a guy named Connor Larson, and he was in Birmingham. He was on tour with Rodney Carrington right now. And so he was in Birmingham last weekend, and so he came in and did the pod. Good friend of mine, but even so much, it was like, man, I don't know scheduling, and it's just tough. Comic schedules can be nightmares at times.
Thanks again for
no problem. Thank you, man. Yeah, I you know, I get pretty run down. Like this time is all right, but I'm on the road every week through January, so it does take a toll. And then you know, I'm in a long distance relationship, so so you got to make sacrifices here and then. And I still don't get off the road. I'm going from fucking Boston to LA at one point instead of New York. Mm-hmm. Like so, there's times when, and look, she's doing the same thing. That's just how it goes. Mm-hmm. But you know, I've got, you know, back problems and stuff, so every once in a while, like, if you don't get that upgrade, you're just like, oh, I just made an enemy over an armrest, now I'm, like, hating a dude. That was a new joke I was trying to get to work last night about how, like, I wonder if anyone was fighting for the armrest on the 9/11 flight, you know, because they were like, I hate that. It didn't really work. I think there's something there, but... I
like that you're like, this is the worst flight ever.
This is the worst flight, yeah. Well, that's how you feel, because I had a guy like that on the way here, and he was like... he was a real pain in the ass about it, and it's like, it's one of the things where you're like, you can have the armrest, but don't come into my fucking space on top of it, you know? I'm 6'3".
There's a plain etiquette.
There's a plain etiquette.
We're all over 6'1", 6'2". Like, we're tall. Like, I feel bad for you, all the flying you have to do.
But I do love it. That's the thing too. Is like I do love the road. Like I'll talk to comics who tell me, you know, I don't go on the road till I have a full 45, and I'm like, oh, I would never do that. Like to me, it's like I can't write unless I travel.
You work out a lot of stuff on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I used to be more of like a more just joke, like here's the full joke. This is it, written from a Word document. That's how I'm going to, and I'm much less that way now. I think it's hard to be that way if you're going to keep churning shit out. I think you kind of have to, just kind of talk some things out here and there, and you're going to fail a little, but I think if you end up doing an hour plus, they forgive you for, you know, missing the mark on a couple bits, as long as you kind of prove it's a good show. And I think the audience likes to be part of the process when you do fuck up a joke every once in a while, because they see that it's like, you're like, oh shit, that makes you not take the good polished ones for granted, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got buddies that make some of their best
crazy,
jokes. That thunder.
I wonder if you're going to pick that up on this.
Oh yeah,
the truck in this
right
club.
there.
Well, dude, yeah, that's fucking crazy. Holy shit.
So I had a buddy, Tanner Newcomb, that he's like a comic that I perform with. He's here in Nashville, and on Christmas Day there was a bombing, and he was on the street, like the hotel, helping get people out of it. And then he was here when the truck came through, and he was just like, everywhere. He was kind of like what you were saying, like everywhere I go, bad things are happening.
That's fucking weird. Yeah, I saw that picture. Yeah, the bombing here. God damn, what is it? It was like an old white dude too, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Damn, it's always like, yeah, it's funny like that. I don't. Oh, you reaching for another gift?
Speaking of old white dude.
What do we got?
I figured you would like this.
Oh, perfect. This is good. You giving me stuff for the bar here.
Yeah, that's kind of...
I'll tell you. You're right.
I honestly only was going to get a Rodney thing to hear your Rodney impression, because you have a great Rodney impression.
I will say this. When you said movie, I was thinking, like, what movie is my favorite? I'm like, I could give you like a pretentious title. I can give you like I love noir, but like if we're talking like movie I've watched the most times, it's Back to School, man.
I just watched it yesterday.
Had you never seen it?
I had never seen it. It's honestly the greatest. Like, it's so funny, but it's also like serves no purpose at all.
Exactly. It's
like,
just there for his jokes.
It's 100% like watch Rodney for an hour and a half. Just take this show.
Every character. It's so funny that you're auditioning to just set up another guy's jokes. Like his divorce, even where his wife's like, "Oh, you're impossible. Oh yeah, and you're easy. All right."
Yeah.
Like literally every line is just Rodney trashing people, and so you're tall and fat. Yeah, well you're short and ugly. All right.
Nick pointed out earlier we were watching Olympic diving, and he's like, "This is a little weird."
Wow.
Yeah,
yes.
it was like right up. I was
Triple
like, man,
Lindy.
it would be
Yes.
hilarious to see Rodney up there right now.
Oh, dude, he was the best. Rodney's such a fucking classic. This is amazing. Yeah, this will be part of the bar for sure. So will the Mo thing.
No, that's awesome.
Damn, we're gonna have a nice little setup. But I think the first episode we do with the bar is this week. So this is
Nice. Well, we're excited. Y'all got your whiskey coming out too.
Yeah, Fat Cat Rye. I mean, Mark is in Houston right now at the distillery.
Oh, I saw that video where they like corked it.
Isn't
corked
that
one
cool?
Of those things. Yeah.
Very exciting. Yeah, I mean, this could be big. I think it's coming down to the logo, but we got the bottle, so it's kind of like let's get it going. I'm pumped.
Well, I heard you say you couldn't use a cartoon because
There's some weird rule, yeah. Like I think it's just like the Joe Camel rule, but it's also kind of like, all right, dude, it's not like we want that demo. I don't want
Kids
kids
obviously
drinking.
aren't,
You have to make this cat look really uncool.
I know, like really like angry. He's like an angry looking cat. What?
another,
How many gifts? This is insane. I've never gotten this many gifts in my life.
This is
Oh
a
my
notes,
God.
one of your favorites.
What is this? Wow, South Park. What is this? Is this like a
It's
vinyl?
just a big record, like, but they like really outdid themselves. Yeah, here, open that right here.
So we
Here?
just handed Sam the South Park Bigger Longer Uncut vinyl.
What the fuck?
It was a record state. So we went to Record Store Day 2 or
So
3
this
years
is the
ago
soundtrack?
Yeah, it's. I
and
know
picked this up.
one of
It
my
was like a
favorite
special
things.
limited edition.
Nick recommended me to you because he was like, y'all like a lot of similar stuff. So usually when you wrec something, it's usually like right up my alley. And I love that you love South Park. It's one of my favorite shows. And one of my
Perfect.
favorite things about you is your love for musicals.
I love musicals.
I know.
dude.
I think like you have such a on stage. You tell so many dark jokes, and even last night I love.
But I'm a New Yorker, man. It's Broadway.
Exactly. My favorite joke last night you told was your one that incorporated musicals.
Which one was that again?
The one about how gays, if you're straight,
Oh,
you're
the
not dabbling in
butthole
music.
joke? Yeah. That joke is so New York and so gay
I
and
loved
so
it.
everything. Yeah, I mean this is crazy. I got to get a record player. This is classic.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
South Park, the music. I think the South Park movie is like as good as any comedy of all time.
It holds up. We were listening to Trey Parker, Matt Stone's like commentary on the movie, and they did it like
10 years after the
so
movie
the whole
came
time
out.
they're just like, we don't freaking remember. Like people are asking stories about the movie. They're like, we don't know. All this stuff blurs together. But the funniest part was them trying to figure out why they made Saddam Hussein like be in hell and like
And
gay with Satan. And he was like, we don't know why we did this. This is so ridiculous.
But why
Because he was
not?
still alive at the time. He's like, he's not even dead.
The original title was South Park All Hell Breaks Loose, but they
Wow.
couldn't get it passed, and then they did Bigger, Longer, Uncut, and they got it past censors. And
Wait,
about-
All Hell Breaks Loose was too much?
That was too much. Said they can't use hell in the title. And they're like, what about Hellboy? What about all these other? They're like, well, this is a kids' movie. Different rules like alcohol, and so they did Bigger, Longer, Uncut, which is this sexual innuendo, and that's just hilarious. That
Wow.
They didn't notice it until a week later, and they tried to get
came
them to take
and
it
they're like,
back.
You can't say Bigger, Longer, Uncut. And they're like, sorry, we've printed up like so many posters. Like, it's happening. You approved it. Too late.
That's fucking great, man. South Park, yeah, and the music's actually pretty good. I mean, that's a crazy thing.
Yeah, they almost got a Grammy for.
When Robin Williams, he
Yeah,
sang
yeah.
at the
Blame
Oscars,
Canada.
right? Damn,
Mhm.
that was a great tune. It's funny that it's like about the country going to war over jokes, and now it's kind of like where we're at, you know?
Definitely.
Well, so even I wrote this down because I was just like, what the crap? In Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield's last, like, when he's given his like speech at graduation, he says, he goes, my advice is to kids around the world, don't go to the real world, move back in with your parents and let them worry about it. And I was like, holy crap, that's like what happened.
I know.
People watch that movie and are like, yeah, that's a great idea.
It's tough out there. You got to look out for number 1, but don't step in number 2, all right? That whole fucking great scene. Yeah, dude. It's tough. I don't think there's a lot of great mainstream comedies like there used to be, because no one wants to make comedy movies. Like, they'll make some show, but even shows, like, you know, I went through the process of pitching a comedy that I think is like great. And
Peep Show.
Oh, Peep Show is a great show too, but that's an old show. It's like 20 years old, you know? I mean,
I've just heard you talk about how you wanted to remake with you and Mackie.
Well, yeah.
And then I watched Peep Show, and it was instantly hilarious to me, because I could just imagine y'all two in there so well.
It would have been perfect. But I was working on an animated show. It was like a different type of show, and I was like, man, this is like, we had a lot of great people involved, and we still could not do shit. It's pretty amazing.
Was that your noir, like, cartoon with...
No, that was another. This was about basically about a superhero who gets canceled. That was basically the show. He was like everyone's favorite superhero, and then he gets just public turns.
That's
it's really fun. I wrote it with Dana Gould, who's a fucking comedy genius.
Yeah. He did, like, is that Modern Family? Dana
No,
Gould?
he wrote for The Simpsons forever. He's a great stand-up. He's done a ton of stuff. He's done just so much. Stand Against Evil on IFC he created.
Wow.
Yeah, he's done so much stuff, and he's just he was so fun to work with. So I still believe like someday we'll make it. It's too good to never be made, but like who the fuck knows, man? Like it was a pretty ugly process. People are just such cowards about what they make. Like you know, I'm glad that like my plan B is also technically my plan A, which is just keep doing stand-up on the roads. Because, you know, if I was just like a writer who was trying to make shows, I'd be like, this is the worst shit ever, you know?
Especially during the pandemic. I mean, so many comics had to change what they were doing. And
well, I'm one of them. I wasn't performing. Yeah, but roofs weren't my ideal. You said change. I wasn't doing roofs before this shit. We all adjusted, you know? I mean, the roof thing was really just like, because I was doing shows, you know, on like the East River and shit, and people, they say, you can do 12 minutes, and I say, I'm not coming. So I think I'm going to come and just bomb next to the fucking water for 12 minutes. I don't care about money, just let me do 30 minutes or something. And some people would say, okay, and then others would be like, we can't, we have too many people. So I was like, all right, I get it. So I was like, I'm just going to do my own shit. I just started posting shows in Instagram stories and being like, you got a roof, I'm there, and people would come. So I was like, this is the thing to do, I guess.
Well, I even saw you like climbing ladders. Was there ever a roof where you were just like, nah, man?
There was a couple where I was like, fuck. Like there was one, man, there was a place in Brooklyn where I forgot the name of it, but everyone was doing shows there, and you had to climb a fire escape that was creaky, and I was like, everyone's doing this? And they're like, yeah, it's the only way up. I was like, well, this is a fire hazard. It's funny that it's called the fire escape, yet we will not be able to escape, you know? So that was an issue. That one, in the special, I'm climbing the ladder. That was great, because that was like literally...
It's a great shot.
It was a cool shot, but that was one where I was on a call for that animated idea, and I was running late. Like, this is how stressful it was. I'm working with a guy, you know, Matt Salakuse, who directed it, and was like, I need a shot of the sun setting. And I was like, dude, I can't get that. I'm like running from the subway stop, you know, because you can't take a cab at that time anyway. So I'm running. I show up drenched in sweat, and he's like, all right, we can take a minute. I'm like, you sure? So I'm literally like, you know, normally when you shoot a special, you're in a room with like a makeup person. They're like making sure. I just look like shit in some of these shots because I would be running around, and you know, you have someone who's like helping you with like, you should wear this, you should do that. I'm literally just showing up like in shirts that don't fit, and you know.
I thought it was hilarious. I heard you on a podcast talk about how you can't wear a jacket that you wore in a special just because you don't want to be known as that guy wearing that same jacket all the time.
You feel weird. if you feel weird if you keep wearing the same thing, you know, it's like, because then what is it? Then what am I, like a character? This is my uniform, you know? It's weird. So that was the other thing. But we would do sets on the roof, and Matt was he cares so much about the shot. And I'm thinking about the material, but Matt's like, we need to use this shot. And I'd be like, dude, the joke is bombing. He's like, no, but look at the sun. We have the bridge in the background. I'd be like, dude, I worked hard on that joke. He's like, all right, fair enough. Fair. We'd be arguing over shit like that, which is, it's good to have a guy like that in the end of it.
It's officially a podcast with you because Syracuse got mentioned.
I know. I was just talking to him.
He gets so much airtime.
I literally just Venmo'd the wrong. He got me an editor for this new thing we're working on together. He's like, you got to Venmo this guy, and I just sent $500 to the wrong Eric something.
Oh no.
And he was just like, oh no. I was like, whatever, man. I mean, shit. I'm too tired to give a shit,
Well, Sam, we got one more gift for
what
you.
is it?
Move your feet a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What the hell? This is. What? What is this?
I think you're gonna enjoy this one.
I'll let you take over from here.
All right. What do we got? Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
I know you're a huge Knicks fan.
This is fucking cool.
I figured you
What
might
the
be able
hell,
to
guys?
find a place for this.
This is hilarious. Patrick Ewing.
You should have seen the looks we were getting riding up here with
Where
him
do
in
you
the car.
get something like this?
So I worked in Colorado, and just some old guy put him in a Moe's barbecue that I worked at, and he had a Larry Bird, Michael Jordan one, and I was like, I want that Larry Bird, and he's like, I'll sell you that one, but you got to buy all 10. And I think we both walked away being like, what a sucker.
Wow.
But
You bought a Larry Bird one too?
Oh, yeah, I got Larry
Who
hanging
else do
out.
you have?
I got Michael Jordan. I got Karl Malone. There's a few canceled players. I don't think.
Magic
Karl
Johnson.
Malone?
Yeah.
No, Malone's the only one who's
It
technically
came out in
canceled.
1987. So just
Damn.
Well, don't you have who's
But yeah,
the Suns player that ended up being like mayor?
Kevin Johnson
Yeah,
maybe or
yeah.
something.
Is he
Yes.
canceled?
Yeah, he got canceled, so I can't resell
What did he get
that
canceled
one.
for that? For what though?
I don't know, just some accusations, I think. I don't know.
Really?
I didn't look too deep into it.
Yeah, he was like the
Clyde,
mayor, right?
Clyde was on
Yeah,
there.
something of like Sacramento, right?
Something like that. But yeah, I love Pod Don't Lie. That's
Really?
That's my
Thanks,
favorite
man.
podcast.
Thank you, man.
Like, I probably have more favorite comedians than you, but you're by far my favorite podcaster.
Oh,
just
thank
because
you.
Pod Don't Lie is just great.
It was a real backhand.
I
for
didn't.
sure.
Well, you know what I mean. You're definitely up there though. You're one of my
Thank you, man.
favorites.
Thank you.
You and Norman both.
Yeah, man. Pod Don't Lie is fun. I'm so into basketball. The Knicks are just, they did themselves in, man. Team USA. They should have taken my man Julius, but
Yeah.
Team USA is disaster.
it's a disaster.
How is
That's what
Darius Garland on that team?
Well, how do they not play defense? It's like play some fucking defense. The problem is like these teams are going against these foreign teams like France or wherever. Like these guys aren't as good in the NBA, but like they're pretty fucking good together. Like that's the other thing. Like
They're
these
playing
guys,
like a team.
Yeah,
they
their
play
team.
like a team. Well, it's like the Spurs, where like I never thought Tony Parker was better than Jason Kidd or Chris Paul or Steve Nash, but he kept beating them.
That's
you
true.
know, I mean, you don't have to have the best like
If
skilled
Stabby
player.
were here, he'd be bringing up the affairs he had with his teammates as
For
well.
sure. I mean, look, no one's saying he was a great teammate. You shouldn't be banging your teammate's wife, but I'm just saying what he did on the court.
He's
Yeah.
got game on and off.
He does. He's got skills, man. I mean, Tim Duncan, really another guy. It's like, but he was one of the best ever. So that's different, I guess. But Rudy Gobert and fucking Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier looks like Steph Curry now. I don't know what the hell happened. Like this he's got Manu's hairline, but he shoots like fucking Dame. And we have Dame. We needed LeBron and we needed Harden. We need they have all their best guys, and we don't. Is the thing.
It's definitely like everyone was busy filming Space Jam 2. No one's here for this
Dude, right?
movie.
What if we had AD?
I know.
Problem is, these guys. Like, I don't blame them. If I
They're
was
all
Kevin
hurt
Durant,
from
I wouldn't
the
be.
last 2 seasons.
I wouldn't be playing if I was KD.
No way.
Because Durant's literally. These guys are always hurt.
So I tore my Achilles in February.
Oh no.
And so I'm actually 11 days older than you. I'm born August 18th, 1986. So you still play basketball sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, be stretching, man.
Really?
Turning 34.
You tore it?
Tore it playing basketball. Thing is, I'd stretched, was playing full court game, and just took a weird step. Like I got a rebound and was just like going up and hurt it and went down. and it sucks.
Yeah, how long were you unable to move?
So I was like doing stand up on scooters and stuff. Like I couldn't be on it for 6 weeks. So I was on a scooter, and honestly, the sympathy you get doing stand up on a scooter, it was some of my best sets I've ever done. Like, yeah, if you're ever like in a rut, maybe like just
were you just unable to exercise for like?
Couldn't do anything for like 6 weeks, and then I started like doing physical therapy and rehab and learning how to walk again.
Oh my God,
stuff like that. But yeah, you know. Getting older.
That does not sound fun.
Mid-30s, man. No, you're having back stuff.
Yeah, no, it ain't fun, but that's
tough.
Way worse than anything I've been through. Holy shit.
So, yeah, if I was Kevin Durant, I'm not playing basketball ever again.
Really? You're done?
I mean, I'll shoot, but I don't think I'll ever, like, it's just an injury where, like.
Were you wearing good sneakers?
Oh, yeah, man. I had Kyrie Irving. I had the Irving 5s on.
Damn. I was going to ask if you had the Derrick Roses on instead.
Yeah, my knee would have been gone too.
The weirdest thing about it was his roommate on the same court did the same thing
2 months later.
Yeah, 2 months later.
Wow.
He like
in the Kyrie.
And they're both like scootering around.
No shit.
No, he wasn't wearing Kyrie. He got home when I did it. He was like, "Your problem is you just play like 100 miles an hour all the time. You don't ever slow down." He's like, "I just go 60% pretty much all the time." And then 2 months later, he come in and he had tore his. And I was like, "Yeah, that 60%. It's really working for you." Isn't it?
Fuck, that's horrible. So were you like an intense player?
I mean, I'm a dirty guy. Like I'm diving on the floor. I'm set.
You got the '90s dirty guy haircut. You got the Jeff Hornacek. Yes.
I took a charge in a church league pickup game, and the dude's like, "What are you doing?" I was like,
"Wow."
This is just how
no one wants a pickup game with a dude who takes charges.
I know, man. He was trying to dunk, and this dude was 5'11". There's no way he's dunking anyway. So.
I hate that shit, dude. I hate when dudes are like, I guess, look, you should never be taking a charge in a pickup game for anyone's sake. That's crazy, but when dudes get real physical sometimes, you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just let you run me over?
I mean, I planted my feet. I was there, man.
Damn. Yeah,
the ref called. I said pickup game. It was a church league game.
I play like half court mostly. I don't really do. Do you think it was the?
We were playing full court. We were running full court.
That might hurt.
I mean, it definitely could have factored into the snapping of it. But
yeah, I'm scared.
It is crazy that some guys. It's crazy that Derrick Rose. I love Derrick Rose, but it's crazy the amount of injuries he's had, and he still has a shoe deal. Like they're just like roped in. Where you're like, you don't want to get the Derrick Rose shoe. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely
made from just. I mean, he's also resilient as fuck.
Well, that's like Cliffhanger. When the harness broke in the movie Cliffhanger, like Black Diamond sued the crap out of Cliffhanger, the movie. Yeah. Because they're like, that's just our equipment. Like you can't do that. And it just after that, no one wanted Black Diamond like harnesses and climbing equipment. So it's the same thing as D Rose.
Yeah, dude, it's weird. I rock those James Hardens, and they're low top. Like I'm of the age where you're like, you don't play in low tops, but they were comfy, and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. But like, I think about it, I'm like, man. I remember you used to wear like the old Shaq shoes or Kobe shoes from back in the day were like blocks.
Yeah, those Adidas were so ugly.
They were so ugly, but you're like, well, this is how they're supposed to be. I remember the Shaq loop-de-loop sneakers where you're like, this is the ugliest shit I've ever seen, but like it's like the ankle support. That's what it is, you know? But you see what they used to play in, those Converses, and you're like, this is not good.
I think you'd be proud. I do have a D Rose Knicks jerseys, but not from this last year's.
The
like
25?
From like, yeah, from like 5 years ago. Yeah, the first
Knicks
go
team.
I love D Rose. You've definitely made me more of a Knicks fan, but we're a Grizzlies fan. I love just because we're closer. We live in Alabama, so we're kind of free agents.
Well, they're pretty cool, man. You got an interesting squad.
Yeah.
You get a healthy Triple J, and Brooks is a bad dude, and obviously Ja, but. You got that fucking evil Grayson Allen.
I'm still just not sold on Jaren yet.
On who?
On Jaren Jackson, yeah.
Really?
I mean, he's good.
He's so young.
He was hurt all year, so I'll give him enough.
Have a little Achilles sympathy here. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll give him this next year to see what. I mean, because everyone he's 7'1" and can shoot the 3, but I mean.
Yeah, he's nice.
We'll see.
Getting movie related though, I think one of my favorite jokes you have is about the Knicks during the Eddie movie. With Whoopi Goldberg, it's like even in the fantasies, it's like you only get to like the second round or something.
Oh no, dude, that movie ended with them making the playoffs. Like every movie ends with the team winning the championship. In the Knicks movie, they're like, "We made the playoffs." We're one of 16 teams. That's like the happy ending that Knicks fans get.
Yeah, that's
Were you at the game that the Knicks won this year?
Stav was. You know what's fucked up is I went to game 1. I literally landed. I was on a flight from Salt Lake, actually. The second we took off, I'm like, bought playoff tickets, bam. But Stav surprised me with tickets to game 2, and I was like, dude, I'm going to D.C. for a gig. So he was so I would have loved to have been there, but like, look, we won a playoff game. That's how low my bar is. I thought we should have done a little better, but we had some injuries. They're a very good team, Atlanta.
I'm a Memphis fan, so when I love listening to y'all's pod because you speak a very similar language that I do. Like, just like, man, if we had Kawhi on this team, and like we're just one superstar away.
Well, Memphis fans, I mean, it's funny is like you guys were like the third incarnation of like, so the Detroit Bad Boys. That's the '90s Knicks were kind of like built in that model, and you guys kind of were too when it was Grind City.
I've never made that connection, but no,
because Marc
that.
Gasol was just. I mean, obviously there's
Allen.
differences, but you guys were like kind of almost at a place in time as a
bullies
every other
don't
team.
get bullied.
I love Zebo, dude. Well, we had Randolph when he sucked, and then you guys. I mean, he didn't suck, but he sucked in that system. It wasn't. We had Eddie Curry and Quentin Richardson. We had like a 900-pound front court. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And then, Zebo. But Marc Gasol was killer for you guys, and Conley's always been. He had that one-off year in
Conley.
Utah, but he's terrific, man.
We were at the game when he hit like 9 threes against game
this
3,
last playoff.
Utah Grizzlies, and it was just like ripping your heart out because you love Conley, but it's like like every time the Grizzlies would cut it within like 4, Conley would hit a 3.
Yeah, Conley's great, man. He's a classy player. It was sad to see him out for so much of the playoffs, but I just don't believe in Utah. I love their fans, but I don't believe in that team. Like, you can't pay Rudy Gobert $200 million and think you're going to win. Like, Rudy's he's elite at defense, but like when you want to win a ring, like, he's not as good as he is. He's not stopping Embiid or Giannis or fucking Jokic or any of those guys. So it's kind of like you just. I guess you have to pay him, but you're also being, well, we're not going to win. I don't think.
He's a tough anchor as a team, I guess.
Tough anchor.
I thought it was weird, though, you said you like the Utah Jazz fans because they have some controversy, I feel
I mean, the ones that I've met, of course, yeah. I'm like, look, I'm not like, man, you know who's cool? Mitt Romney. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I think it's pretty cool to wear khakis to a sporting event. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just, yeah, of course they have some issues, but... they do.
I'm just kidding. I'm from Alabama. I can't say anything.
Well, yeah, sure. But they also, it's like, I like markets like that where it's like they don't even have another team. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just all they have. Like, the same with like Portland. All they've got is a Blazers. So I like that they're like a basketball town, is I guess my point. And it's funny. I did the shows in Salt Lake. And after the show, I met so many dudes in like 90s jazz gear, which I just thought was hilarious. They're like, check it out. They all like came to me so proudly. I'm like, it's cool, man. They're like the fucking Jazz.
I loved your Nashville Predators joke last night.
Oh, thanks,
man. That was great.
Yeah, dude, that's an oldie. I did that one on Conan back in the day, but that was like
rest in peace, Conan.
I know, miss Conan, man. It's so weird. I had forgot about it, and Anthony and I just walked by their arena. I was like, oh, I have a Predators joke. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember. So it's like the whole thing. It is crazy, though. You think about like how it's just ravaged the entertainment business. But I do not feel like it's really affected athletes until like a month ago. Like that guy in the Dodgers,
Oh, yeah.
But like other than that, you're kind of like, this didn't really affect athletes at all. You're kind of like, because so many people have just been... I don't know. Like, there's been some shady shit. And not just athletes, but like...
musicians, too.
Oh, my God.
I mean, Chris Brown still has a career.
Well, it's funny. Exactly. Chris Brown. But then also, I posted a thing recently about Cosby, shitting on people, like just making fun of people who would pay to see him live. Pretty tame take, I thought. But people were like, oh, like, do you still listen to Mick Jagger? And I was like, I think there are shades to this thing. That's why there are degrees of rape, and that's what, like, you really are gonna put. Like, look, yeah, it's these dudes that fucked up things. I'm not trying to make sense of any of this, but at the same time, like, you're gonna put Cosby. He's the worst, maybe the worst serial rapist of the last like 60 years.
Were you shocked when that girl last night was front row and was like, "Yeah, I'd go see him"?
No, because I think first off, this is Nashville, but second off, like people will make, like that's their right, that's their money. You gotta go see whoever the fuck you worked hard for that money, so go see whoever the hell you want. But I wouldn't. I was never into like people like Cosby did 2 hours and 45 minutes tonight. And I'm like, cool, that sounds horrible. You think I want to sit through a stand-up set that's as long as the Green Mile? Like I don't want to see that shit. Like that's great that he, I always find it greedy when comics go that long. I find it like it should be a show. You should leave them wanting a little more. Don't overstay. So I'm always annoyed especially when it's just bullshit. But I look, he's a great storyteller. He is a comedy legend, but he's a terrible human being. And it just, to me, it's different than bands. There are other members of the bands. With movies, people are like, you still watch L.A. Confidential, Kevin Spacey. He wasn't the only part of the fucking movie. There was a cinematographer and a director and a writer and a whole cast. And, so when people say, and also,
The Usual Suspects is still a good movie.
Exactly. It is, I do think it is different than when it's just like Bill Cosby himself. That's the name of the special. He's just. I do find it to be a little different. So that just my opinion, but And look. That's the thing. This is fucking America. He's free. You can go see him if you want.
I know we need to wrap up, but and we appreciate your time. But you got me conflicted about that feeling with Woody Allen. Now,
Sure.
I got broken up with like a few months ago, and I think I heard you recommended Woody Allen. So I watched all Annie Hall, all those movies, and just loved them. I was like, these are so great. But now it's like, oh god, you got to deal with.
Yeah, he's not a good person. It's tough. I mean, that's another
Great
thing I've had
artist,
to. I mean, it's easier for me to watch the ones he's not in now. Like Bullets Over Broadway is my favorite Woody comedy, but like Woody's not a good. Like I find it hard to believe he didn't do it. Like I find it hard to believe, and it's tough. I mean, I'm like, look, I'm a New York Jew. Like that is such a big part of my childhood. Like Woody, it's beyond that. It's like Woody represented New York in this way. The way like you could say like Scorsese or Spike Lee represent different parts of New York. Like Woody represented this sophisticated New York style of comedy, and he could do drama. He could do it all. So. I've talked to like friends of mine who are black, who are like a little more forgiving to Cosby, and I'm sure I'm a little more forgiving to Woody, but I'm still like, it is hard for me to deal with, and here's the thing with Woody. Best case, he married his daughter. Or I mean, his girlfriend's adopted daughter, right?
I was like, wait, what?
Well, not his blood daughter, but he was the adopted.
Mm-hmm.
He was the adoptive figure, and they're like. And then here's the defense. Here, if I'm a lawyer for Woody, I'd be like, look, who in here hasn't jerked off to stepmom porn? Huh? We're all guilty of this. But I think it ain't good. With Woody, you're like, the best case still ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man.
And he's friends with Cosby, I think, and you're kind of like, well, that ain't. I'm sure they're just like the fucking what. That annoys me too when people are like, everyone's getting so woke, and I'm like, I'm talking about comedy. I'm talking about like jokes. I'm not talking about like being okay with assault.
Yeah.
There's a
difference.
Yeah.
Well, man, I know you've got a show you're about to do, so we appreciate your time. Before
Thank
we get
you.
out of here, quick movie recommendations for us that we should be watching, or.
Okay, well, I mean, I got so many. I'm always. I mean, should it be like all time? Should it be what I've watched recently, or what?
What's something right now you're watching that we need to watch?
A movie that I'm reading this book about 1970s Hollywood, and it's called The Big Goodbye. It's great. It's about like Polanski. Speaking of people with mixed records, Polanski. Jack Nicholson, the Nicholson stories are incredible. So it's a lot about Chinatown. So that's one of my favorites ever. But, I just watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for, the fifth time or whatever.
That's great.
I hadn't seen it in years, but I love Nicholson, so it's just fun to watch that. I just watched that. Just watched, trying to think of other like movies lately that, you know what I loved? This is a big one. I'd never seen it. Streaming on Amazon, The Taking of Pelham 123.
Is that Denzel?
No, that's
No.
the remake.
This is
Okay.
the one
I'm
with
ta-
Ben Stiller's dad.
Yeah, Jerry Stiller's in it.
Wow.
Yeah, Walter Matthau and Robert Shaw from Jaws.
Oh yeah, I definitely haven't seen this.
It's incredible. It's like just a perfect movie. I loved it. So that's another one, and I watched this last week too because it's also streaming on Amazon. I'd already seen it, but not since I saw it in the movie theater. Inside Llewyn Davis. I think
Love that movie.
incredible movie. I love the
I
Coen
almost
brothers.
put that on earlier today, but we were with our friends in their apartment. I didn't know how they'd feel. You know, nothing kind of happens in that movie. You could I love it, but
But at the same time, so much happens, right?
no, I love the movie, but I
Yeah.
didn't know how they would feel about
It's
it. If you're not
slow.
paying attention in your phone, you might miss a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it's the music's beautiful though, and goddamn, he's a good actor, and the cast is terrific, and John Goodman just pops up, and you're like, goddamn, he's great. But yeah. So those are a bunch I've watched or rewatched lately, and yeah, I love like old New York. So Pelham 123, like that's like a 70s New York movie that just I mean, it's about a subway train getting hijacked. Which like shit like that to me is like, I don't know, there's something so damn funny about that, you know?
We watched Dog Days of Summer today.
Or Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh
Dog Days.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real that's a
Dog Days of
classic.
Summer is the Entourage episode.
Dog Days. Oh well, dude, John Cazale, right?
Mhm.
Old school, Pacino, young Pacino. Yeah, that's a classic 70s movie where it just ends and you're like, wait, that was it?
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck? 70s movies would just end with like, you know, spoiler here, but 70s movies would just end with someone getting shot in the face and then the credits would roll and you'd be like, what the fuck was that? It's crazy. So
Yeah.
But we don't want this podcast to end that way.
no. We'll just say goodbye and
Yeah.
no, these gifts are amazing. Thank you so
we
much.
will send those to you so you don't have to
Oh,
carry
thank you, man.
a bag back on
This
the flight.
is crazy.
But man, thanks for your time. Appreciate
Thank you. I can
joining
take the
us.
little Mo thing for sure.
Oh yeah.
This is amazing.
I'm glad you like that.
Well, thanks for being here, man. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it, Sam.
Yeah, that was fun.
Dude, thanks, man.